Internal conflict in Myanmar timeline. The conflict is generally divided into three parts: insurgencies during the post-independence period under parliamentary rule, 1948 to 1962, insurgencies during the post-1962 coup socialist government under the rule of General Ne Win and his Burma Socialist Program Party, 1962 to 1988, and insurgencies during the modern post-Cold War era, first under the military administration of the State Peace and Development Council, 1988 to 2011, and now under the newly elected civilian government. Post-independence conflict, 1948 to 1962. Following independence from the United Kingdom, the two largest opposition groups in Burma, Myanmar, were the Communists, led by the Communist Party of Burma, CPB, and the Karen Nationalists, led by the Karen National Union's predecessor. The former had fought the British colonial government prior to independence. However, during the final days of the Japanese occupation of Burma in World War II, both groups helped the British against the Imperial Japanese Army. Initially there was calm during the transitional period after independence, but on April 2, 1948, the CPB fired the first shots of the conflict in Pakungi, Pegu region, present-day Bago region. During the post-independence period, the KNU favored an independent state, administered by the Karen people. The proposed state would have been forged out of Karen and Karenni state, present-day Kayin and Kaya state, in Lower Burma, Outer Myanmar. The KNU has since shifted their focus from full independence to regional autonomy, under a federal system with fair Karen representation in the government. Post-coup conflict, 1962 to 1988. After three successive parliamentary governments governed Myanmar, Burma, the Tatmadaw, Myanmar Armed Forces, led by General Ne Win, enacted a coup d'état in 1962, which ousted the parliamentary government and replaced it with a military junta. Accusations of severe human rights abuses and violations followed afterwards, and the cabinet of the parliamentary government and political leaders of ethnic minority groups were arrested and detained without trial. Around this period, other ethnic minority groups began forming large rebel factions, such as the Kachin Independence Army, in response to the new government's refusal to adopt a federal government structure. In 1967, following China's initiation of the Cultural Revolution, violence broke out between local Bamars and overseas Chinese in Myanmar, leading to anti-Chinese riots in Rangoon, present-day Yangon, and other cities. The riots left many overseas Chinese dead, which allegedly prompted China to begin giving logistical aid to the Communist Party of Burma, CPB, in 1968. Both immediately after the coup and again in 1972, General Ne Win held peace talks with opposition forces, but both times they fell apart, partly due to General Ne Win's refusal to adopt a multi-party system. After negotiations failed, defectors from the Tatmadaw and ethnic insurgents walked back to their bases, with headlines across Myanmar famously reading "They go back." Private property was confiscated by the government, and the Burmese Socialist Program Party, BSPP, was founded in 1974 to govern the country under a one-party system. Under General Ne Win's 26-year dictatorship, Myanmar became an isolated hermit kingdom and one of the least developed countries in the world. In 1988, nationwide student protests resulted in the BSPP and General Ne Win being ousted and replaced with a new military regime, the State Peace and Development Council. 8888 Uprising. On August 8, 1988, students began demonstrating in Rangoon, Yangon, against General Ne Win's rule and the disastrous Burmese way to socialism system. The protests spread across the country. The uprising ended on September 18, 1988, after a military coup was enacted by the State Law and Order Restoration Council, SLORC, and the BSPP government was overthrown. Authorities in Myanmar, Burma, claimed that around 350 people were killed, whilst anti-government groups claimed thousands died in the protests, with a high number of deaths attributed to the military. According to The Economist, over 3,000 people were killed in the public uprising. As a result of the uprising, the new government agreed to sign separate peace treaties with certain insurgent groups. Because the 1988 uprising was mostly politically motivated, ethnic insurgent groups did not receive much support from political movements in Myanmar. In the 1990s, the Tatmadaw severely weakened ethnic insurgent groups, destroying most of their bases and strongholds. Post-Cold War conflict, 1988 to 2018. In 2006, the Tatmadaw, Myanmar Armed Forces, conducted a large military offensive against the Karen National Union, KNU, in Kayun State, which resulted in the displacement of hundreds of thousands of civilians. One estimate claimed that approximately 500,000 people were displaced due to fighting between government forces and the KNU, and the forcible relocation of villages by the government. In 2011, Tatmadaw launched a military offensive named Operation Perseverance, against insurgents in Shan State in 2011. During the offensive, the Tatmadaw captured territory from the National Democratic Alliance Army, NDAA, and the Shan State Army, North, SSAN, with the latter being involved in most of the fighting. The offensive was in response to the group's rejections of the Junta's One Nation, One Army policy. Government forces attacked the Kachin Independence Army's headquarters near the city of Lisa on November 19, 2014, killing at least 22 Kia insurgents, according to the government. Between February and May 2015, government forces launched several military operations in Kokang, in northern Shan State, in response to attempts by the Myanmar National Democratic Alliance Army, MINDA, to retake territory it had lost in 2009. Insurgents of the Arakan Rohingya Salvation Army, ARSA, attacked Burmese border posts along the Bangladesh-Myanmar border on October 9, 2016, killing 9 border officers. Armed clashes continued and on October 11, 2016, 4 Tatmadaw soldiers were killed by insurgents with recently looted weapons. On August 25, 2017, the ARSA launched a second large-scale attack against 24 police posts and the 552nd Light Infantry Battalion Army base in northern Rakhine State. 71 people were reportedly killed in the armed clashes.